Hello, this is Mark from Productive Computing and Productive Computing University. Thanks for joining us on this video. We are talking about FileMaker 2025, also known as version 22 under the hood. This particular upgrade is a big one, especially if you're interested in incorporating artificial intelligence with your FileMaker Pro solutions. Everything that you see in this video will be covered or has already been covered in one way or another at productivecomputinguniversity.com. We have several courses that break down all of these items piece by piece, step by step, with actual demos you can download, and you can run this at a pace that's comfortable for you. We have courses for AI integration, Claris Connect, Claris Studio, FileMaker Pro, FileMaker Server, API connectivity, understanding JSON. Some of our courses are free, some of them are paid. If you're interested in at least two of these topics, it makes sense to buy the entire university bundle to subscribe for one yearly price, which gives you access to our entire library. Okay, let's explore the key features of FileMaker 2025. First, we see Claris's mission is to make new technology approachable for developers. I can personally vouch for this, and also say that with 2025, AI is very easy to integrate, at least to get started. This version does take advantage of everything you know, and will easily enable you to unlock what's next. Let's review the major components of the platform. Here we have Claris FileMaker, and in the context of this slide, when we talk about FileMaker, we're including FileMaker Pro, FileMaker Go, and FileMaker Server, traditionally been used for internal-facing solutions. The data can either reside on premises, in your own cloud server, or in a public cloud server. You could even host your solution with FileMaker Cloud. Then on the right, we have external-facing solutions supported by Claris Studio. This is a web-first development environment for the platform, and one that continues to evolve. It's specifically geared to enable the collection and retrieval of your data by providing external-facing solutions in the form of views. Then in the middle of it all, we have Claris Connect, which acts as a connecting point between Claris FileMaker, Claris Studio, and external data sources, systems, and applications. Woven into the entire platform, we have something called Claris AI, which allows developers to integrate artificial intelligence via a number of providers with a wide variety of integration options for your own apps and the data within. Claris FileMaker 2025 features major enhancements across the entire platform. We have further integration and enhancement with Claris Studio and Claris Connect, and a smoother and more available licensing model, enabling developers access to the entire platform, integrated more seamlessly than ever before. Okay, first, a topic near and dear to my heart, AI integration, specifically with large language models. This comes in the form of 3 brand new script steps, and I'll be demonstrating each one in a little more detail. Oh, and by the way, the demos you're about to see are freely available in a course called FileMaker Features and Free Resources. You can get this at productivecomputinguniversity.com. Just enroll in the course and you'll see these files, along with many others, available for download, fully unlocked and ready to explore. In this first example, we talk about the script step, Generate Response from Model. Here I have a simple file with just a handful of fields and only 2 script steps. The first one to configure AI account and the second one to generate response from model. After filling out a few key details and obtaining an API key, in this case from Anthropic, I can put all this together and we now have integrated AI directly within a FileMaker file. Here I'm asking, list the main script steps in FileMaker Pro and categorize by type. So I'll call AI now. Notice that it can also stream and show me the results in real time, directly in the field. Now this functionality I just demonstrated is similar to what you'd find if you were to directly create a request in ChatGPT today. Now perhaps that functionality is impressive by itself, but the real power comes in integrating your data with the prompt. So let's take this idea of generate response from model and incorporate data from the file itself. Here I have company, industry, and state on this list of records. And in my script, I've just added a simple line of code for the prompt. I still include the original prompt, but then I put a carriage return and a simple execute SQL statement which collects the company, the industry, and the state. In addition to that, I've added a custom function here called bold markdown, which will take 2 asterisks and format text in bold as I instruct the model to do so. So I can say here, break down each company by state. We'll do that first without introducing any kind of markdown. and we'll get a summarized list of each company under each state. Here's another great example of seeing that streaming in action. So that gives us a quick summarized list. Then I can add another simple instruction that says, make the states in bold by using 2 asterisks for markdown. Now we have our states bolded, and we should have the same summarized report. Okay, now let's take another example, but this time I'll add a more powerful model to the equation and a more complicated prompt. List all companies in New England and include their state and industry. So first it had to know which states are in New England, and then it had to extract those that are in New England. In this case, I only have Massachusetts, but it did list them along with their industry. It even says that I could only find companies in Massachusetts from the given list. The data seems to include companies from various states, but not a comprehensive list of New England companies. All right, let's try something else. List all companies in the central time zone, along with their state and industry. We've got Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas, and it's telling me that it's a partial list. How about break down all industries by percentage? And there we go, 20 different industries, and that's their percentage breakdown. It does warn me that percentages are approximate. So you can see here with just a little bit of effort to create a couple of script steps, pulling in some data, and optionally including data directly from your file, you can get a built-in intelligent summarized analysis and breakdown. Now let's take a look at a script step called Perform SQL Query by Natural Language. So for this example, we'll use the exact same file. However, I've changed the providers to OpenAI, a different model, and of course a different API key. Now in this case, this is a different script step which provides some interesting options. It allows you to use natural language to create the actual SQL query that you would need in order to prompt this, but it does so behind the scenes. There are several options in this script step. We'll look at a few of them here. If I select the query option, this will allow me to make a request in natural language, and it'll bring back the results of that request after it's processed. So if you recall from the last demo, I actually had to put in an execute SQL statement in order to gather all the company names. With this script step, I don't have to do that. The names are gathered for me based on how I make the request. So for example, I could say subcategorize the companies by state. It'll include all the companies, subcategorized by state. Similar to how I did my other request, except this time I didn't have to gather the data manually. It was done for me just by these 5 words, subcategorize the companies by state. It assumed I meant all companies, and it knew what it meant by the word subcategorize. Now if I said subtotal companies by state, I should get a slightly different response. In this case, it still included all the companies, and it gave me the record count numbers based on state. Also notice that it put the state alphabetically. Now I could say subtotal companies by state that begin with A through N and sort by lowest count to highest count. So now we get only the companies that begin with A through N, and it does put the lowest count companies through to the highest count companies. Now there are several options with this. I'll show you one other. We can get just the SQL for this particular request. So now I'll ask the exact same question. This time I won't get the results interpreted. Instead, I'll get an actual select statement. And you can use this query as a foundation for the execute SQL function for your calculations. Now let's look at a script step called Perform Find by Natural Language. For this demo, we're still using OpenAI, but this time with a slightly different model. You can construct a natural language prompt, and it will perform a find in FileMaker for you. Find all companies in AZ. There's my companies in AZ. Find companies with industry as legal. Found all the companies that have legal as the industry. And you can do complex finds too. find companies with industry as legal and category as personal. Now we have a single company that is both in the industry legal and is in the personal injury category. To learn what it's using as its find criteria, you can go to Records and modify the last find. In this case, we have a single find with both the industry as legal and the category as personal. What if I changed a single word here? Find companies with industry as legal or category as personal. Just one word there, and I'll perform that. Now we have a find that's completely different. If I go to Records, Modify Last Find, we see here that we are finding both for companies that have legal as the industry or companies that have personal as the category, each in its own separate find request. As you can imagine, users will appreciate being able to find using natural language rather than understanding some of the complexities of a multi-predicate find in FileMaker. Under the hood, that script step is really simple. It's just perform find by natural language. You give the account, the model, and a single prompt. Then FileMaker determines what is being asked, compares that to the schema on the layout, and performs the find. Besides the script steps that we already took a look at, there are other script steps that support other types of AI integration, also with large language models. We now have the option to address AI with regression, AI with RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation, and continued improvements on something we've had in the previous version known as semantic search. And finally, we have improvements on FileMaker Server, allowing you easier deployment with local AI for those mandated to have additional security and privacy. These new features are found in the FileMaker Server Admin Console. And here's a quick screenshot of the Server Admin Console. We have an entire page here to manage the models, the settings, server configuration, and which options are enabled or disabled. Also notice here a place to store your API keys and a place to manage the library of models. And you'll find additional script steps that support the various AI integration points. Having a full appreciation and understanding of each of these would almost require a video or even a course unto themselves. So beyond AI, what else do we have? We have a few new functions. Here's a function that will return a list of fields on a layout as JSON data. It's useful for debugging what field information is sent using the perform find by natural language script step. But technically, you could use this function for other reasons if you just want to get a bird's eye view of what's available on the layout at the moment, conveniently formatted as JSON. The GetTextFromPDF calculation function will prove to be one of the most powerful functions ever created. Once a PDF is available via a container field, this function will return the text from that PDF, therefore making that text available for further analysis, either with artificial intelligence or your own customized indexing. We'll demonstrate that now. Here I have a demo file that has a container where I'll be placing the PDF, and then here I have a text field that will extract the text from the PDF. So I happen to have here a PDF. This is a large PDF with 85 total pages. It contains both text and images. I'll drag that over here to FileMaker. You can see it was immediately analyzed and the text was extracted. We have a file size of 30 megabytes, lots and lots of characters. Let's go take a close-up look of that function. I have it here in a dedicated field called PDF text. It is a standard text field, but I do have the auto enter calculation option. So that is a simple formula that says get text from PDF. That's the brand new function. And we're just pointing it directly to the container field. That will extract the text into our text field every time it's updated. Let me show you how the script is constructed. Then we'll do a quick experiment. So here for the script, we're back to generate response from model. And in this case, we're sending it both the prompt from the user, and we're also taking advantage of instructions here. In my instructions, I say, use this text from the PDF when answering. Then I put a carriage return and actually include the field that has the extracted text. All of this information goes in the instruction area. That will combine with the user prompt. That means we'll be able to interrogate the text from the PDF. Summarize the main points of this document. So now all 85 pages of text is being sent to the AI. It's interpreting that and then it's coming back with some results with the summary. Platform overview, major new features and enhancements, platform improvements, management and deployment, productivity tools, WebDirect, security, community, and support. Then I can ask a question, explain how the generate response script step works. So now it'll go through, read the document, determine how it works, and then provide an answer, which it did rather quickly. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised that because this document is so large, it's already cached at the provider location with this request. The generate response for model script step in FileMaker 2025 allows developers to interact with AI language models to generate tailored text responses based on user prompts. Here's how it works. And then it goes through and actually talks about how this script step works. Now, this script step was born and released long after this particular model was fully trained, which clearly indicates that it's using the text from this PDF in order to accurately answer this question. Using this combination of unlocking the text in a PDF combined with AI means you have a whole new generation and capability within your FileMaker system. Next, we have a script step which will prove to be a possible game changer in certain scenarios, especially if you are a developer that continuously finds themselves having to store custom found sets. So a customized found set can be acquired using the function getRecordIDs from found set, stored in your system, and then later recalled using the script step goToListOfRecords script step. This takes what was once a very difficult and tedious process and makes it very easy by comparison. A small but important feature allows us to create folders for our custom functions. Here's what a typical Manage Custom Function screen would look like, complete and organized by folder. Another helpful feature, especially for scripts that have a lot of if-thens, loops, and even transaction steps, this brings the script workspace into the modern era by allowing us to collapse and expand. On the Mac side, we have an overhauled user interface. This applies to both browse mode, with the icons at the top, as well as layout mode. Here's a nice feature, especially if you are one that does a lot of grouping of objects on your layout. It's the ability to selectively add or remove objects to a group. For those who find themselves in the world of JSON, and there are more and more people finding themselves in that world as time goes on, and as the platform continues to take advantage of JSON for many different aspects, we have the function called JSON parse. You can take advantage of this function and parse your collected JSON. Once parsed, that JSON can be referenced over and over again, where you can take advantage of the maximum speed available to work with it. Likewise, there's a function called JSON parsed state, which allows you to determine if your JSON has been parsed or not. Another interesting feature here, which will undoubtedly make the user experience better, is the fact that we can now automatically update major versions. For example, users that have FileMaker 2024 installed today, they can check for updates, and so long as there's an eligible license, they'll be able to upgrade immediately to 2025 without having to download a separate installer. On Windows, previously, major FileMaker releases were installed alongside any previous versions you had installed. But starting with FileMaker Pro 2025, installing the latest major version of FileMaker Pro replaces the previous version. When it comes to FileMaker Server, it now runs on both Ubuntu 24 as well as Ubuntu 22, enabling faster, cost-effective deployment. We also have some notable enhancements with JSON performance that apply both on the FileMaker Server side as well as FileMaker Pro and Go. Early tests show a marked improvement in overall JSON performance, which is especially notable if you are working with large payloads. There's also been some nice enhancements to the FileMaker Upgrade tool, and with 2025, it includes layout objects and field format options. The tool is now bundled with FileMaker Server, eliminating a standalone download. There's also been various server performance improvements, which you can read about in the release notes from Claris. There's also been a few nice features added to FileMaker Go, and I'll let you read about those as well in the release notes. There's also been some handy and highly requested features for WebDirect, and I'd like to demo those for you now. For this WebDirect demonstration, I have a blank web page here, and I'll paste in a URL that goes to my WebDirect page, and I'll sign in. And here I have a field, and if you notice, I can highlight the contents of that field, right-click, and now I have options to copy or paste, which is a very handy feature to have here in WebDirect. I can also right-click in this container, and I have a contextual menu there as well. Another feature is, as I'm navigating through my WebDirect page, and I go from page to page, users sometimes get crafty, and they use the back button, the traditional back button, here in the actual browser, which normally would cause an automatic logout. Now, when the user clicks this button to go back, they'll get a traditional warning that you would see in any web page driving a web app, such as a financial site or some sort of content creation page. You'll get a proper warning, "Are you sure you want to leave this page?" And you get the option to stay on the page or leave the page. This gives users a chance to realize that if they go forward, they'll be logging out of WebDirect, so they can stay on the page and return home properly. There's also been some handy improvements with the Data API that will give developers some additional options and flexibility. We now have webhook support in the FileMaker OData API. That means webhook notifications for record and schema changes in FileMaker databases enables real-time updates to Claris Studio and Claris Connect. If you want to learn more about how Claris Connect can bridge data between Studio and Pro, we have a course called Claris Connect Fundamentals available at Productive Computing University. We also have a Claris Studio course at Productive Computing University. There's also some nice FileMaker Cloud enhancements for FileMaker 2025, and you can read about the details in the Claris release notes. Like all other areas of the platform, this one continues to evolve with features that allow better connectivity to the rest of the platform and to the world at large. Claris Studio has some really big items. The biggest feature is its ability to now handle big data. Large record sets are no longer an issue, letting developers confidently build performance solutions for data-heavy industries like healthcare, logistics, and education. And new with this version is the inclusion of Claris Studio automatically with your license. So it's never been easier to adopt Studio as an additional tool in your tool belt, and it really rounds out the platform, giving you more options than ever for your organization. So I hope you enjoyed learning about FileMaker 2025. To learn more, go to productivecomputinguniversity.com and consider enrolling in the full university bundle.